Hello from not one, but two girls who've never had a boyfriend before. Welcome to episode 2 of the Hopeful Romantics Club. I'm your host, Naomi, and today I'm joined by my dear friend, Joanna Das.
Woohoo!
Joanna and I have been friends for almost, 7 years. Mm-hmm. And for a big chunk of my life, she was actually the only other friend who was in a similar season. Like, we were both single. We're both still single. Oh. But I honestly don't know how I would have gotten through those years without her and having someone who understood kind of what I was going through while everyone else was getting married and all of that. So, yeah, Joanna, we'd love to hear a little bit about you and your story, whatever you're comfortable sharing.
I'm a wedding photographer, so I'm a hopeful romantic. And I love seeing people in love and capturing those moments. And it's just been like a really big privilege to watch love unfold and to be able to take those photos and also be single all at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like a great topic that we can actually discuss is what it's like waiting, and because it feels like we've been in a waiting season our whole lives, and what it's like to wait well, especially as you enter your 30s and you're not exactly where you expected to be at this age.
There's that sound. And I think there's a lot of grief and disappointment that comes with it. And I feel as though I need to say that before we go
into the happy-go-lucky.
Yeah. I think we're not discounting the depths of pain we've both felt in the waiting season. But I think there has been so much joy in waiting and not waiting for a relationship to actually start life and to start living. And I'll say this over and over again, that your life is worth more than your relationship status or what you're doing with your career. And it matters more than who you're dating.
I definitely feel like the time that we have being single is so important, and how we steward that is so important. So how have you found that these single years have benefited you or those around you? And how have you used that time?
I think there's always that fear that I don't want to waste my time or my life waiting for this perfect, ideal relationship. And I want to enjoy living right now. I want to be happy and joyful right now. And a lot of that has been found through solo travel. And of course, we've had that privilege of going out into the world and having a mental capacity, a financial capacity to do that. So there's a lot of privilege there. But I do feel like I've learned a lot about life by putting myself in these uncomfortable situations and learning that I am confident, I can take care of myself. I don't necessarily need an external man or factor to validate myself and my feelings, especially in a culture that really celebrates and maybe over-glorifies being in a relationship. And attention is equated to how much worth and value you have. I feel like there's so much power in taking back that control and not living passively in a single season. And I've seen you do this ruthlessly in your own career when you've had almost a decade to build your life and to build a career that has given you luxuries and this beautiful life that you get to lead now.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely feel like my 20s were spent chasing after that dream career and also investing in friendships. And I think that's what brings me a lot of peace and comfort. And I might not have been putting in effort into dating and dating intentionally, but I think the timing of it all is just so purposeful. And I think that's why being a Christian and having faith and knowing that God has a perfect time. Yeah, his timing is perfect in our lives. And my 20s were just still so purposeful and so full. One thing that I do to combat loneliness is I write a list of everything that I've done within the past week or month or years even. And I am able to look at that and be like, wow, there's a lot of things on this list that I would not have done if I was in a relationship.
And there's so much power in that. And I think there's also this beauty of having your single time into really investing in the friendships that matter to you, whether that be your parents or your friends around you or your best friends or their kids, right? I think I've derived so much joy even in our friendship where we've gotten to pursue things completely without holding back. And I just want to be proud of the woman I get to be, hopefully one day at the altar staring at my hot, holy husband. And know that I haven't lived waiting to start this life, but I've like really, really, really taken every opportunity and taken the opportunity to better my own mental health and my own physical health, to hopefully set up a future that wouldn't be possible if I hadn't really invested in those things.
So true. I think that's one of the big benefits of like getting into a relationship when you're older, because when you're in your 20s, you don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. Like you're still figuring yourself out. And so being able to figure yourself out and your strengths and your weaknesses in your 20s and working towards becoming a better version of yourself, like healing and growing and doing therapy and all of that, it just makes coming together with someone else in a later stage of life that much easier, you know? Because relationships, they're not going to be easy either way. No one's ever going to be perfect at any point in their life, but the work that you're putting in now and the time that you're able to spend in becoming a better version of yourself is just so key and precious.
And can you imagine being married like 5 years ago, or me even being married a week ago? Oh, I think there's so much growth that, like, you know, you haven't been passive in your pursuit of your mental, emotional health and your career. And that is going to lead you to be a better friend in the future, a better wife, a better spouse, a better mother. And it's just going to propel you forward. So I think there's a lot of power in just taking what you have right now and, like you said, being grateful, but also being grateful for the season of singleness.
I think one thing I'm recently learning to reframe is what it means to be in a waiting season, because the truth is we're always going to be in a waiting season. A year ago, I was in a long waiting season. It felt hopeless and it felt like dark, waiting to move here, to like get my visa to move to Los Angeles. Wow. And here I am in that answered prayer, and yet I'm still like, oh God, I'm so sick of being in this waiting season for my future husband, you know? And I saw a video recently that said, we should never be living in the absence of something, but always be living in the presence of Christ. So like whether you're a Christian or not, like bringing it to the present, right? And being like, okay, what can I do today? Who can I love today? What can I focus on today? Instead of looking at your calendar and like trying to plan the future. Because I know for me, that's what brings a lot of like anxiety and sadness. Like especially I look at my calendar and I'm like, oh, 2 weeks from today, I have one of my best friend's wedding and I don't have a date and I'm going to be all alone. And then a week after that, I'm turning 32 and great, I'm going to be still single. So like that brings a lot of worry and anxiety. But remembering that like God can move so fast anytime. Like he can move tomorrow. Someone can be introduced into my life in 3 days. Like, so I need to just stop worrying about the future and focus on the present.
That's really good. And have you found that doing like a gratitude list has gotten you there, or what has moved you from that worry state into a state of contentment?
Gratitude for sure. Like even a list of like 3 things that you have to be grateful for. And then just focusing on like, what do I feel inspired to do today? What can I do today with my time and my effort and the energy that I have? And
what I'm hearing from that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is moving from a state of entitlement and being passive to a state of really, really, really understanding that your life is a gift. And though it is sad and really devastating, it can also be beautiful.
Yes.
And there is so much joy and greatness ahead of you. And it is not determined by your relationship status or how much money you make or how tall you are. Or like it is based on your character and the purpose you were already birthed with, right?
Yep. And as Christians, like our purpose in life is so simple. It's love God, love people. And yeah, being single gives us that ability to just love on people. It's like we have so much time and effort and all of that. And I was even reflecting on the wedding that's coming up that I was like so terrified of still being single. But when I think about it, being single, especially like I'm the maid of honor, so I'm going to be like her right-hand woman. I'm going to have a lot of duties and responsibilities that day. So if I did have a date, I'd probably, you know, be worried about them being on their own or like thinking about them when I'm supposed to be thinking about the bride.
Right.
And so maybe going by myself, while it would be sad to literally 15th wheel the bridal party, I am able to just be fully present for my friend, you know, and just have all focus on her, which is a rare gift.
And it is a gift, right? I think the singleness aspect is a gift too, because my best friend of 17 years is a mom of 2 and our lives are so different. Like the other day we're just like walking around having a coffee at 3 p.m. and she's texting me photos of like her kids saying, I haven't had a shower in God knows how long and I'm really happy being a mom. And so that joy doesn't it doesn't imbalance the scale. Just because our like purpose right now is to be single, you know, it doesn't take away from what the future holds from you either. And who's to say that like you won't be in a wedding party, I don't know, like maybe 2 months from now, and you'll have someone, you know, walking down with you. I don't know.
Like, any friends want to get married in 2 months? No, but that's
2 months couldn't be your wedding too at this point. Surprise. But there's like purpose and greatness within every story. And just because your purpose right now or our purpose right now isn't being in a relationship doesn't like devalue our value and our worth and what the beauty is before us. And if we can grow in character and in integrity, even within our friendship, if we can iron out those like triggers and maybe our conversational ability to speak where it feels vulnerable and safe, then how much further are we going to go in like a relationship?
I feel like that's definitely something that I've recently like come to understand and like get comfortable having confrontational conversations, because like we've been friends for 7 years, and for the first time ever, it was only a couple months ago that I like decided like, okay, this made me upset, or this bothers me, like let me tell her so she could like either explain where she came from, or even just it's an opportunity for that person to grow and all that. And I've done that with a couple friends since then, and it's not easy, but I'm like, if I was married, I would just not say anything and grow resentment towards this person so easily. So it's like this opportunity to practice it in friendship is just going to help so much in marriage.
And that's the key of it. Like, you're practicing right now for who you're going to be, and who do you want to be as a wife or as a mother or as a girlfriend, right? Those are important questions to ask. Do you want to, or I ask myself that, do you want to be somebody who snaps easily and gets upset at like a promise that you prayed for or like you hoped for? And like, just like in our friendship, like there is so much beauty in understanding that like I'm not going anywhere and you're not going anywhere. So we're able to lay out like the scariest aspects of our beings and know that there is so much safety in that vulnerability. And if we can practice that within friendship, it's going to be a lot easier, hopefully, in a marriage or a relationship, right?
Yeah. And one thing I've always been inspired by you is definitely like just the confidence that you have. I don't believe it, but Joanna said that she used to be a shy wallflower like
That's
me,
true.
because I'm currently at a stage where I still can't make eye contact at men, and I really suffer with like low self-esteem and low confidence because I felt like I've never been desired or pursued in the past. And so, yeah, like where do you get that like inner confidence, boldness, and you're just like not afraid of rejection? And I'm like, how does she do it?
Yeah, I used to be afraid of rejection, but I think a lot of the value that I've gained or understanding I've gained in the last few years has been like, why would I dim my light to live in the shadow of someone else just so I could be liked by them? And it's like, why? Why would I also rob somebody of an encouraging word or just like a smile or a compliment because I'm so nervous and scared? Because what if that encouragement saves someone's life, or is the encouragement that this one person holds on to for the rest of the month or the year? And so I think just seeing people as people has been a huge thing. And I think that it's also come from a heart of servanthood and actually volunteering my time with the houseless people, or like, you know, like really understanding that the person in front of you is no greater than you and has the same level of insecurities as you, or has demons that they're really fighting with. Or maybe also just understanding that I am very privileged in different aspects. So I think that the rejection just comes from knowing that I'm going to be authentically who I am. And when I look in the mirror and when I see that I have been someone of integrity, of just a wholesome kind of love and joy, and if somebody rejects that, that is not a reflection of me. That is never a reflection. And it's, that idea of like, why would I rob somebody of that joy that I have understood and felt so privileged to gain? Because I feel like they're going to judge me.
I think that's beautiful how you said, like, when you look in the mirror and you didn't point out, like, you know, your looks. You're literally just, like, pointing out the qualities and the personality traits that make someone feel loved and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that I definitely have to like have a mindset shift of, because for me, I'm like, oh, I'm too ugly to talk to people, you know?
But that's the thing. Everybody has insecurities. The most beautiful woman or the most handsome man that you see has their insecurities. And we're all just trying. We're trying to move forward. But again, our society equates attention to value, whether that be in a relationship or the money you make or your career. And I refuse to equate that to myself and my friend group.
I think one thing that a lot of us struggle with is just seeing everyone else move forward in this area of their life while it feels like we're kind of stuck or we haven't moved at all. So I can't even imagine being a wedding photographer and attending like dozens of weddings a year and just seeing that and being like, when is it going to be my turn? So how do you even like, deal with waiting in a position like that?
First of all, there are days, right? Like there are days where I feel the weight of singleness, but I think being able to celebrate somebody else's season really deeply with a great joy says so much and does so much to your soul. It comes back to that entitlement feeling or being, right? If you feel like you're so entitled to a certain thing, a certain job, you're always just, I feel like you're going to be 10 steps behind. But if you release that and you live in this freedom, the freedom comes with an abundance of joy and grace. And there was actually a couple a few months ago. The bride was 68 years old. She had never been married. She was happily single, 68.
Wow.
And her future, or her husband now, was around 70 as well. But they just came together so naturally. And I'm not saying that your story is going to be like that, and God.
I was like, ooh.
Like, I'm not saying that that's going to be your story, but the idea of that it can happen all of a sudden. And it's just that like mental capacity of taking those thoughts and turning them into joys and that gratitude that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And combating those lies with joy. But 68, can you imagine?
That's actually so sweet. That's so beautiful. We need more rom-coms focusing on
Yeah.
68-year-olds.
But they were really, really sweet. And they were like teenagers in love. It was so, so cute.
That's reassuring to hear for sure. So yeah, I guess some like practical tips from this conversation would be, when you are feeling lonely, to write down that list of all the things that you've done so that you can kind of reel it back in and be like, okay, God's timing is purposeful. Everything that I did within the last couple of months, like I could not have done it if I was in a relationship. Another thing is to like just focus on becoming a better version of yourself, whether that is through taking the solo trip you've always wanted,
Going to the gym,
going to therapy. Like within the last 3 months, Joanna has seen such a transformation by committing to her fitness, right?
Yeah.
Like, and would you have done that if you were in a relationship? Probably
Why
not. I mean, I hear about the boyfriend 15, right? You actually put on pounds. But again, with the right partner, like they will push you to becoming a better version of yourself. Like they're supposed to just like you're supposed to be like on your path to life.
Right.
Right.
And your goals. And
yeah, like chasing your goals, chasing your dreams. For Christians, chasing heaven. And then your partner is supposed to like run the race alongside you, and hopefully you're able to move at the same pace, and they're not going to bring you back, or they're not going to move like too forward. Like that is why waiting for the right person is just so key.
And what like you encouraged me to do over and over again is like pursue purpose. Pursue purpose so ruthlessly and so wholeheartedly that nothing gets in the way of what I believe that God has ordained for every person. And if that purpose means just being a good sister or being a good coworker, right? Like your life has so much more value than your relationship status. And I hope that you have this time and that you take it. I really like that you have had all this time to really ruthlessly pursue what like set your heart on fire. And if you don't know what that is, take the time to learn. Take the time to understand who you are before you get into a relationship and place your value on someone else or who you think they want you to be. Understand who you are and like gung-ho, like pursue it.
Yes, like chase after your passions, like chase after being the best version of yourself. And also recognize that you never will be the best version of yourself. Like you'll never be perfect, because I used to think like, oh, I'll finally get into a relationship when my skin is clear, when I'm a certain weight and my stomach is gone. But it's like, you are worthy as you are right now.
Yeah. I believe in faith that the point of your life isn't to pursue happiness or joy, but to be holy. And if that looks like you have a longer season of singleness, then thank God, because there is divine protection and God does not withhold good. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. And like you've seen in your life, like things change so quick. And I just don't want to look back in my life and be like, wow, I was really like bitter. Oh, wow, I like really complained in that season where God had given me so much to be grateful for.
Yeah. Like literally just waking up every day is a gift and a blessing. And like you said, we shouldn't feel entitled to anything else beyond that, right?
It's a devastatingly beautiful life, but at least it's life.
Well, yeah, thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. If anyone is getting married or has a friend who's getting married, you can hire Joanna here to take the photos because she does travel. But yeah, I hope that you were able to learn from this conversation, feel seen and heard by this conversation. And if there's any other topics you want me to discuss in future episodes, feel free to leave a comment down below. But I'll see you next time. Bye.